So everyone has some basic knowledge of something. Even when we feel like we know nothing, we obviously do. Um, we are a certain age, we grew up in a certain environment, in a certain place, in a certain culture. So we know a few things, right? And this is the perfect time to continue to learn more about ourselves and about other people. Of course, it's not always easy, and it depends on our environment and who we are around. But during this time is the perfect time to learn more about the things that you want to learn. So I read books. Most of the books that I read are just for my entertainment, or they are self-help books. But I enjoy them, and of course, there are things that I like to do and to learn more about. One of my favorite things, of course, is to learn more about God and God's Word. And so I continue to try to challenge myself every year by reading through the Bible again and again. And I keep trying to do a different, well, maybe one year I'll do one version, another year I'll do another version, and it just goes on. For a while, I felt like I didn't know that much about the Bible. I mean, when I first started studying the Bible, I was probably just out of high school. I had been to Sunday school, and I had learned a few things there. I don't really feel like I learned much because it was like you hear the same Bible stories over and over. And then, of course, there were the kids who went to Christian schools, and I felt like they knew a lot more than I did, and how could I ever catch up? But I decided at one point or another that I should probably find out what's in the Bible for myself. Of course, you go to church, you hear the sermons, but I feel like a lot of times it's the same books and the same stories that they talk about, just like you hear in Sunday school. So I started wanting to know what was in the Bible. And then I ended up in a Christian university where we had to have Christian Foundations 1 and Christian Foundations 2. In Christian Foundations 1, we had to read through the Old Testament, and in Christian Foundations 2, we had to read through the New Testament, and basically we had to go through every single book of the New Testament and give a summary of it. That was a great deal of work, and I guess it was just an eye opener. And then I had a few other classes that were more theologically based, but I still felt like I didn't know enough. So I started, okay, I'm going to start reading the Bible now. I'm going to find out what's in it. And I got interested in reading other books that were more written by religious authors besides C.S. Lewis, because that was a class that I had. It was called Religious Authors, but it was just more C.S. Lewis books. But one of my favorite books by C.S. Lewis, by the way, is a Christian book called Mere Christianity, which is, I think you learn a lot from that book. I mean, I know that it's one of my favorites, and I felt like it was a great, insightful book, and he has written so many other books that have a lot of insight, but the greatest book, of course, that teaches us the most about what we need to know is the Bible. And it's not always the easiest book to read, especially if we're one of those people that want to do our own interpretation. That is why it is also good to listen to a lot of different sermons from people that can go back to the Bible all the time and show you that things come from the Bible and where they come from. So there's so much that we can learn, and the point of reading the Bible, I think, is to gain knowledge and insight about why God made us, why He created us, and why He sent His Son into this world, and why we should in all times be able to find comfort in who Jesus is. And when we can discover those things for ourselves, that's when we're going to be able to be more at peace with who we are and how things are in this world. It isn't always easy to be happy and to be content and not to worry. It never will be. But, and we're going to struggle a great deal no matter who we are. I mean, believe me, I have gone through so many things in my life, and sometimes I have wondered, like, why am I going through this? And there's been times when I knew, I felt like I was going to die, I wasn't going to live, and of course I did live. And I couldn't understand a lot of the things that I was going through, but I know that had I not been able to turn to God in those times of great tribulation, I would have suffered a great deal more, and I would have gone through so much more turmoil and more grief and more worry and felt more troubled than I did, knowing that God was with me. And I was walking with him. So maybe you don't feel like the Bible is the book for you, and maybe you don't feel like you need to learn anything about God, or maybe you feel like you know everything that you need to know. But like I said, I've read through the Bible so many times, and every time that I read it, I feel like I discover new things, and I'm always happy to learn more. I have so many books that I just feel like they're my favorites. I love poetry, love the book of Psalms, Proverbs. I love all the books of poetry. Just seeing what different people in the Bible went through and comparing their lives to mine. I mean, it's just such a powerful thing, and it just helps you through all the different things that you go through. For instance, at this time, we can look back at Job and the things that he went through, and we can understand his story a little bit more going through this time in our lives, and just seeing how God was able to work things out the way that they did. It's just powerful. There are so many great and powerful stories, great testimonies, and so many things that we can learn, but it is up to us to learn from other people now and back in those days, from what they went through and what we're going through now. Maybe the things that we're going through now will be things that will help us to be able to relate or to teach others in the future about what they will be going through as well. So just maybe just try, read and learn.